Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 55555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Open borders, shameful abandonment, disregard for human life, the prospect of more mandates and lockdowns, and the list goes on. Now more than ever, we need to stick together. Voting alone is not enough. We must use our dollars to support like-minded companies that fight for our rights and beliefs. Patriot Mobile is America's only Christian conservative wireless provider who shares your values. Last year, we gave more than $500,000 to conservative causes. With your support, we'll give more than $1.5 million this year. It's time to band together and support companies that truly love America and fight for our freedoms. Will you join us?
This is Kentucky's Voice Radio, covering the latest state and local issues with Tom Fallbush, Bob Scott, and Jim Waters.
All right, welcome to Kentucky's Voice. I'm your host today, Tom Fallbush. We've got an awesome show because there's a lot going on right now. There's this, both nationally and locally, and from all different angles. And we also are going to have a great guest today. We have Lindsay Titchener on with us later today, a Kentucky state legislator. And so there's a lot. Of course, there's a session going on right now in Frankfurt, so we need to cover what's happening there. So we're going to have a good show there. We also have my special guest, Debbie Robbins, on today. Bob couldn't make it today, but we have Debbie Robbins, who is fast becoming a star panelist on our program, and so we're glad she's with us today. And so, so Debbie, we've got a lot of things happening. Let me play this clip. First of all, it is a clip of Mitch McConnell recently freezing up. Now, the reason I'm playing this is because Mitch has the flu, and apparently he's being hospitalized, and so that's the news right now. So he's hospitalized. So listen, the man's pretty frail. Let me play this clip, and we'll show you how frail the man is right now. So,
all right, I'm sorry, you all. We're going to need.
Let me start this over.
Running for re-election in 2026.
Okay, so for those on the radio, what's happening is somebody's asking Mitch McConnell a question about, are you going to run a re-election?
Did you hear the question, Senator? Running for re-election in 2026?
And then his aide comes up and asks, hello.
All right, I'm sorry, you all.
Did you hear the question?
That.
Are you going to answer that? so he's just kind of froze. So it's,
Well, and this is why so many people want term limits.
That's exactly right. Yeah, God bless him. Listen, I don't want to beat him up for his health conditions. They're, but for the grace of God, there go I. Everybody's going to get old, right? And so these are just problems with aging. And so the question is, should you be a United States senator sitting in that seat with those type of health conditions, especially those that are sort of that impair you mentally? If somebody asks you a question and you can't respond, and you're looking off into the distance, that's just that. Even those that are very partisan for Mitch McConnell, which in the past I have been, I'm still very thankful that he's what he's especially with we wouldn't have Roe v. Wade overturned if it wasn't for Mitch McConnell. Bottom line,
exactly.
We wouldn't have a Republican state of Kentucky without the McConnell machine. So we got a lot to thank for him for. But his TDS that he picked up over the past few years has really disappointed everybody, and we're just sick of it. And so, but anyway, so he needs to resign. Question is, Debbie, what happens if he resigns, or say he gets sick, or he says, or whatever happens, Lord, God forbid he dies, but what happens?
But with this issue, I failed to look it up this morning. I thought about this yesterday, but I know that our state legislature, because of Mitch McConnell, I will thank him again for this.
Yeah.
He made sure that this law got passed, that if a person dies while in office, whether they're Democrat or Republican, that the person that replaces them remains the same party until the next election.
That's right.
So that's the good news. Now the process, and I know that since we don't have it in front of us, I'm hoping Lindsay Titchener will be on to explain it a little further. But I think it is 3 names are submitted, but they all must be Republican, and the governor will make the choice. But our dilemma, Tom, is who do they choose? It's very strategic.
Yeah.
If you choose Andy Barr, who's already serving in Congress and who's a candidate for the Senate seat, then if you pull him away from the House, that is very precarious. But if you choose Daniel Cameron, it appears that you are say your favoritism. Oh, it's Daniel.
Right.
So it's really a serious issue.
It's
And
tough. We only got 30 seconds left. But it's also tough because the polls right now are pretty tight in this race. There is a very heated Republican primary to see who's going to replace Mitch McConnell, and so imagine if we nominated all three of those, Cameron, Barr, and Morris, the three people that are in the lead, and then the governor picks one of them. Would that give that person an artificial advantage in the election? So it's going to be a lot to consider. But hopefully Lindsay Tishner can help unpack this a little bit for us on what the legislature's role would be in that. And so hopefully she'll be back with us in the next segment. We'll be right back here at Kentucky's Voice with Debbie Robbins, talking about Mitch McConnell. What happens if he catches a cold and wants to...
Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to the program. And so we were trying to line up a couple of guests here. They should be dialing in here soon. But Debbie, we were just talking about Mitch McConnell and what happens if he, if he does get, he's hospitalized apparently. He has the flu. Mm-hmm. The flu's going around. I've got several family members that have the flu right now, so it's a pretty tough flu. By the way, if you have the flu, or if you think you have the flu, there's a test now that you can take. It's a COVID flu test that'll tell you whether you have COVID or the flu. So and there's two different types of flus going around: the type A and type B. If you get type B, you should get Tamiflu because Tamiflu helps type B. If you get type A, you just got to ride it out. But if you get sick like this with this flu, it could be COVID, so you might want to take a test. You want to take the test that determines whether you have COVID or the flu, type A or B flu, and be proactive about it. Because listen, as somebody myself this is actually 2 years ago as of about today, I got COVID, just now getting over some long COVID, and it is, you want to avoid that at all costs because COVID can really mess up your life for a while. So, but anyway,
it sure can, and it could also mess up our government right now.
Yeah,
with Mitch McConnell, whom I respect him, I thank him so much for his service. But just like even last fall when Bobby Holzclaw passed away, my heart was broken because there was really no plan in place or forethought to say the only person in Jefferson County who was a Republican was her who elected to office.
That's right.
So it's just critical that Senator McConnell or whomever works with him, if you hear us now, we have the greatest respect for him, but we really need solutions here, and we need to protect our Congress, our majority in the Congress. And I know we're going to have a phenomenal senator from Kentucky, and that person will be a Republican because I believe the people want that, and we know it's at stake. But just even this little glitch of Senator McConnell being in a hospital and there not being a plan in place makes me really nervous because if they choose Andy Barr and pull him from the House, as I said earlier, that puts an imbalance in the House, that puts Speaker Johnson in a really tough spot. So, but if you put Daniel Cameron in, whom I think would be amazing as well, and I'm not sure, who else they would nominate. I don't know who the party would nominate.
Let me go to this poll that just came out from the Morris campaign. Andrew Cooper Ryder posted this last night on X. If you can put this up, Mr. Producer, on the screen, it shows that this is a poll released by the Morris campaign that Cameron is ahead. See if I can blow this up so the screen can see a little better. Cameron is ahead Well, it won't get any bigger. Yeah, there we go. Okay, Cameron's ahead by 29%. Andy Barr at 21%. Nate Morris at 18%. Undecided, 29%. So still a
That's
third
a
of the
lot.
electorate is still undecided. And so this race is by no means over, and we haven't had any debates yet. There are some debates coming up, and matter of fact,
Right.
we're trying to arrange a debate between the three men. So we hope that happens in May. But there are
Yes,
some.
I will say this if people are interested, if you don't mind me interrupting, the Jefferson County Republican Party is holding a debate. It is that one is confirmed.
That's right.
And it will
And
be at the Henry Clay. So if you want to call the Jefferson County Republican Party headquarters or look them up on their Facebook page or jcrp.org, you can find out information because you can attend. It's going to be live. And I think it's going to be conducted by, I want to say WDRB.
WDRB, I believe. Yeah, exactly
Yeah.
right.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a good place to hear these gentlemen
Yep.
and really, really good. So, but I hope that Kentucky Voice, I really hope we will get to do it as well. But this is a real concern. And maybe I just want to encourage the listeners, call Senator McConnell's office, be respectful because, it takes a lot to serve your country and to run for office. While I don't agree with him, like I said, I agree with you, TDS syndrome and him has just torn my heart apart and has really caused some issues where we could have had slam dunks on so many issues so far. But just to appeal to him to say, hey, what's going on here? Let's be transparent and to because the JCRP, I'm going to tell people, Jefferson County Republican Party, the Kentucky Republican Party, they are the ones that are going to compile the list to put forward if something were to happen to him today.
There we go.
So call them. Tell
Yep.
them. Oh, Lindsay. Oh, good. Lindsay says she's available. I just saw a text from her.
Oh, great.
So
Okay.
we
Hopefully
need
she
to
can-
let her call.
Yeah, hopefully she can.
Would you-
Mr.
let
Producer,
her
just
call in.
yeah, Mr. Producer, let her call in. While we're waiting on that, there's another story that's breaking right now about the University of Kentucky. Okay, and so this is an undercover report that's been done by a. Let's see what group is doing this. I think it's Accuracy in Media. All right, so they actually went down and interviewed the head of the sociology department at the University of Kentucky with an undercover camera, and they got him to basically admit that UK still is doing DEI policies. And so let's just take a look at this video, Mr. Producer, and we'll get our thoughts here. So let me get this
It's an important it's important part of the curriculum, and I mean, if you look at the syllabuses, especially, it's there.
Yeah. Okay.
Because people, you have to teach these things.
I have no idea. I don't remember any of it.
You don't even remember. We have it on video.
Let me play
Even
the
if
first
it's
part
not
of that again.
explicitly said, because it's like one of those things that, yeah. So but it's like it's there, and it's an important part. It's important part of the curriculum, and I mean, if you look at the syllabuses, especially, it's there.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll stop it there. So what he's saying is, this lady is asking about DEI and to this professor, and it's, hey, what about DEI policies or DEI in your curriculum? And he goes, oh, it's definitely there. We're still it's all written into everything we do. And now the problem with that is that's against federal law, right? So there's a federal law that just came down from the Trump administration that says you got to stop pushing this DEI stuff in universities and hiring and everything else. So this is a big scandal that's blowing up at the University of Kentucky. So I would pay attention to it. Debbie, your thoughts?
Oh, I am livid to hear that. And when we get Lindsay online, she has her own University of Kentucky issues during the COVID time frame. But also, I'm going to say, if you come down to public schools, go to Jefferson County Public Schools, go look on their curriculum. I challenge you, go look it up, start reading. You will be sickened at the amount of DEI and horrific things that are in that curriculum embedded 100%.
Right.
So this is not going to be an easy fight. It's like, pulling a wisdom tooth out of somebody's mouth, because they're not going to back down unless we hold them accountable completely. We cannot, as citizens and as listeners and as Christians, just as patriots, you've got to be active. You've got to be proactive. We all have a voice, and you really do have power. Like I said before on another show, one phone call from me or you represents exponentially hundreds, perhaps thousands, depending if they're your state House rep or your state senator. If your state senator gets a call from you, they know you're representing thousands of people. So it's got to stop. So just be vocal. It is the most destructive set of quote moral values to put on a child ever. I have a 20-year-old son, and it's a good thing that he talks with us, and he's a very smart young man, but at times we have to just set him straight and say, whoa, let's have a chat about what it is you're hearing, or what you've been fed, etc.
Exactly.
So yeah.
Isn't that crazy that you have to just run interference all the time with your kids because of the culture and the education system? It's just they have a set agenda. They're smart about it. They know they're trying to propagandize everyone, especially your kids. They know if they can get the next generation, they can win. And so parents just have to constantly be on guard. And I've said this before: if you're a parent and your child is not very solid in their understanding of very solid in understanding of politics or what's going on culturally, be very wary about sending them to some secular university that's known for just preaching DEI stuff or woke stuff, and because they'll come back hating you. They'll come back hating America. They'll come back wearing blue hair and a lesbian or something. And I'm not this is not hyperbolic language. I've seen this happen in my life, where young people go, we send our wonderful young lady off to college, and they come back and they hate you and they wear blue hair and they're lesbian. It's like, what just happened? And so it's anyway. So just be very wide-eyed about that, parent, because this is not, college is not what it used to be. It used to be this institution where you went and explored ideas and they were seeking truth. It's not that anymore. They see themselves as a change maker for kind of a left-wing cause to change society in their image. And that's they have an agenda. The agenda is not seeking truth and educate. Their agenda is to change people so they can change society and make it more left wing and just in their mind. And so that's why the DEI stuff isn't going away at UK, because their whole mission is social justice, and they believe
unless they're held accountable. And I'm really excited. I just saw Lindsay said she's ready. She's on Zoom, and she will definitely be able to help us out on this and comment. Along with everything else that's going on this week at the Kentucky legislature.
You got it. Very
Absolutely.
Good. So we'll be right back. So just be very wary of sending your kids off to college. Do it. Maybe go to a Christian college, or if they go to a college like U of L, UK, make sure they're part of a TPUSA or some sort of conservative organization where they can be around other kids that can believe and fight the good fight. So anyway, we'll be right back with Lindsay Titchener on Kentucky's Voice.
Yes.
Are you ready to stand for truth? Kentucky is at a crossroads, and we need voices that won't back down. This is your moment to rise, speak up, and be part of a movement that's changing the narrative in the Commonwealth. Kentucky's Voice is calling on bold citizen journalists, fearless editors, and those unafraid to speak truth in the public square. Volunteer, intern, contribute. Scan the QR code or visit kyvoice.org to join the fight. This is more than media. This is your moment. You are Kentucky's voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice, and we have a special guest today. It's Senator Lindsay Titchener, and so she's on the line with us. And so, Senator, thanks for being on the show today. Busy time right now in Frankfurt. Obviously, we're in a session and a budget session, but there's still a lot of bills that are, somewhat budget related, somewhat not budget related, and so we've been following quite a few. But tell us some of the stuff you're working on and what you're excited about, and what some good news happening at the legislature from a conservative perspective. So,
yeah, we have a lot of great bills that are moving forward, and of course, our number one obligation constitutionally is to pass a budget this year. So, a lot of talk around budget issues and everything that we propose. There's always that question: is this going to have a fiscal impact? And that's really important to us as the Republicans took over the Senate and both chambers, the Senate and the House. In recent years, we've seen a tremendous turnaround in our fiscal responsibility, and we've done a great job at making sure we're managing those tax dollars well. So we'll continue to do that. So I serve as the vice chair on the Education Committee. So a lot of that is just in the front of my mind. We are focusing a lot on financial transparency for our districts, a lot of accountability for our boards and our superintendents. We've seen a lot of that come into the news in just recent months, with a lot of misuse of taxpayer dollars throughout some of our large districts, but also really across the state. We've seen a lot of misuse of tax dollars. So we're looking at addressing those issues very closely. We have a couple of bills: Senate Bill 3, Senate Bill 71, we just heard, Senate Bill 2, we just heard in committee. So a lot of different bills really focusing on that issue. And of course, maybe our listeners don't know, but about 60% of our state budget goes to education at the post-secondary and K-12 levels. So when we think about how much money that is, we need to make sure it is being utilized in the most efficient way possible, and obviously producing the results that we need. And we've not really seen that happen. So we're addressing some issues that have really risen to the top and become really critical almost at this point. So I'm really excited about that. Obviously, I'm always working on any way that we can make sure there's child protections in place. Some of the issues that we've seen come up in our public school system, but not just our public schools, but in other areas, social media and whatnot, is the issue of grooming. So the House passed HB 4, which is a priority bill for them, and they are now adding language and definition around grooming into our criminal code. So we will be able to address that issue and hopefully cut off before a crime happens of sexual abuse or abuse in general, and really be able to charge people for that as a crime in and of itself. And we have seen that really just, it has become rampant, unfortunately, in a lot of our areas, especially our schools, where children spend a lot of their time.
Yeah. Okay. So define that. So grooming. I mean, we use the term grooming a lot, and just rhetoric, and talking about the cultural issues. Like a drag queen story hour to me is grooming. Sure. That is grooming. You're grooming young kids to think about their gender in fluid ways and all these sort of things. That's basically grooming. Right. So would that be considered, a crime, or is that the type of grooming you're targeting, or is it more?
I've been working on criminalizing that to some degree for quite some time, trying to stop children from being allowed to be present in those shows. And we do have a bill in the House that is working on drag. That is almost an identical bill to what I filed in the 24 session, in the 23 session as well. So this is really, I don't know that it would, in a broad sense, criminalize that behavior, but if they are targeting a child, an individual child, to build that relationship, they would be able to tie that behavior into that grooming definition. But just as a kid going to a show, unfortunately, I don't know that would, unless they're targeting that one child.
That's right. That's right. Okay.
Yeah,
Well, that's
so.
okay. Well, good. That's still very worthwhile.
Oh, it's very
yeah,
worthwhile.
Yeah. Yeah. Let me go back to a topic that we just in the segment prior to this, we played a clip from the University of Louisville or University of Kentucky, the sociology department.
Yes.
They're caught on film saying that we're still pushing DEI at the University of Kentucky, and I believe you have a Senate bill right now, Senate Bill 26, that's trying to ban DEI at the state level and K through 12. And so, first of all, what do you think about the University of Kentucky story that's breaking today, and also just your SB 26 bill?
Yeah, that we dealt with DEI in post-secondary institutions last year in House Bill 4, and just recently was reading over a report from the Attorney General. They are required to report how they have implemented those changes and pulling back the departments and the education in general at post-secondary and how they've been influenced by DEI. So they're obviously not all adhering to it entirely. And I think it has become such an issue. And the reason why I filed the K-12 bill, it has just seeped into every aspect of education, pre-K all the way up to post-secondary education. And it's going to take years, I think, for that to unravel because it's so deep rooted. And it has been if you really start to study the history of what DEI is, it goes back to critical theory, it goes back to Marxism. It goes very, very far back. And so that has been slowly working its way through our institutions at the higher level, which obviously trickled down to the lower level. And we didn't see it too much in our schools until 2020. It really just, they took the mask off and there it was. And now we see it in ways that are kind of shocking. And I don't know if you all saw some of the interim testimony, what happened in education when I presented my bill. One of our representatives went globally viral within a matter of days because she said she's ashamed of being white.
That's right. Exactly. We saw that. We
That's
actually played that on the show.
Yes, that is the mentality that we are teaching our children to have, which is
to hate themselves.
Such a shame.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And I'm coming from the perspective right now of I so admire everything you've been doing when you came on the scene. Honestly, in 2020, I'm so proud of you. If people do not know your background, they need to know. You've been a missionary, you're a businesswoman. You have been on the front lines in your life in a lot of ways. But if you go to the Jefferson County Public Schools website right now and you look at their curriculum and their descriptions, Lindsay, you're going to see DEI everywhere. I guess for what we need to know, what we need to tell our listeners and what we need to know as citizens, what can we do? And how do we hold these people accountable? Because you're right. I mean, sin has a way of just disguising itself and manipulating and hiding and doing whatever. But it is so infuriating. You all are doing amazing work. But what must citizens do to get attention? And I will say, too, been to some of the school board meetings, the arrogance is off the charts of the people that, quote, serve there. It's like talking to a wall. You cannot get through. So I'm listening. Tell us what to do.
Well, stay plugged in as much as you can. If you're a parent of the school system, I mean, really, if you're paying taxes into the school system, you have a right to be there and be present and demand that they aren't trying to reshape our society in the ways that they're trying to. If I am able to pass my bill, the Attorney General is going to have a lot of ability to act and claw back what they're doing. They're not going to be able to use any state funds towards diversity, equity, and inclusion programming or policies. The trick of this is it's woven into all of our curriculum right now.
Exactly.
Every bit of it.
In the textbooks.
And in the textbooks.
Right.
And it's so bad that even we implemented SB 9 a couple of years ago for literacy, and we have to approve curriculum. Schools have to approve curriculum that have a green rating on ed reports. Well, if you go to ed reports and spend any amount of time when they are approving curriculum for a green rating, they make sure it includes diversity, equity, and inclusion in order for it to have a green rating. So there's things that we did in a great effort to bring in literacy rates and make sure phonics is being taught in our curriculum, but then they've already infiltrated that. So Debbie, I didn't quite get get to answer your question yet.
Well,
But
we've got
plug
another
in,
segment if you
speak
stay
out.
with us. Yeah, we've got
Yeah,
another
we'll-
segment if you stay with us.
We'll
and
finish here in a
You
second.
can answer that question because there's things you can
Right.
do as a viewer, as a listener, to help push these bills along, and because they need to hear from you. There's a lot of Republicans that they need encouragement to really take a risk and vote on some of these more conservative bills.
Right.
You know, they just really do. And so we'll be right back here on Kentucky's Voice with Senator Lindsey Titchener.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I'm your host today, Tom Fallbush, and we have my co-host, Debbie Robbins, and we are both excited to have a wonderful guest of Senator Lindsey Titchener, whose district I think is just in eastern Jefferson County, actually eastern part of our viewing area, so Oldham County, parts of Shelby County and that area.
And Trimble.
And
Trimble County,
Oldham,
not
and part
Shelby.
of Jefferson.
Okay, Trimble and Oldham. There we go, Trimble and Oldham. Okay,
Sixth
very
district, right, Lindsay? 6th
Yes.
district?
Yes.
Yes, very good. So, Debbie, you were asking a question to Lindsey about what people can do. So, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
What can we do, Lindsay, that
Yeah.
while you're in session?
Yeah. While we're in session,
We want consequences if you don't do, follow the law.
yes, absolutely. Advocate for Senate Bill 26. That's what I need right now. Obviously, there's a lot of opposition to that bill that is very well organized. So their efforts are tons of emails, tons of calls, and they blast it out. And we get a lot of
DEI
emails,
bill.
but
That's
we
the
need
You
to
want to
know
name
that.
names
Yeah.
of even on our own side that we need to just
On our side?
kindly say, listen, we
Yeah.
need this.
I will say I have support in our leadership. Senator West has been advocating for the bill, which was why it was heard in the interim committee, and he's the chairman of education. I'm very hopeful it's going to move through the Senate side. I'll say that. When it gets over to the House side, I need to make sure it gets heard in committee. So we need to reach out to the committee chairman, which I'll work on as well.
Who is
I'll
that?
reach out.
Who's the committee chairman?
You are Chris Lewis, I believe
Chris
is his name, Representative Lewis, and forgive me
Okay.
for if I'm wrong about that. He just got appointed the chair of secondary education. They split their committee last year.
Okay.
So we need to make sure it gets heard in committee and moves forward. It seems like the next right step for us since we took care of this in post-secondary, but it's a heavy lift. It really is. And helping people to understand how big the problem was, or is, excuse me, was was really helpful in the interim committee because we meet jointly. So we have House members and Senate members. So they got to hear my presentation back in December, and I kind of laid out like the expense that this is costing our districts, the amount of employees that it's costing. Not to mention, it is absolutely contrary to the Civil Rights Act. It is it is dividing people based off of racial differences. It is giving preferential treatment or differential treatment based on skin color, which is wrong. It's unconstitutional. It's wrong.
Right.
And I was able to make that case. So a lot of our members already have awareness of the importance of the issue. They just need to hear from the public that this is an issue we need to deal with. It is reshaping our society, and it is ingrained now, not just in education, but throughout corporate America. We're seeing a lot of that pull back because of the Trump administration and his efforts to really pull back what DEI is doing. And that's super helpful for us. So,
may I interject that I think
absolutely.
it's also infiltrating in our churches,
Oh,
sadly.
100%. Yeah.
The deception, and because you're speaking to a conservative Christian audience here today, and I want to caution them.
Yeah.
To tell their leaders also.
Right.
No. When I called a Christian school a few years back, and they were, or I saw an ad in a Christian school to say they needed a diversity. They were hiring a diversity person. I was like, what?
Right. It's crazy. And it is, it's language. And you think about, Satan's ability to twist language and to lie. And you hear those words, diversity, equity, inclusion, all by themselves sound good. And you start talking about fairness and making sure we support people. Of course, those are good things, but that's not what's behind this. What's behind this is an effort to divide people and separate them, and then pit them against one another. And that is absolutely not God's way. Not at all. And, our motto, united we stand, divided we fall. It is absolutely to separate us so that we cannot be united.
That's right.
And diversity is doing that. It is that effort behind it is doing that. So,
exactly right.
I'm glad you brought that up about our churches. It is an important thing for Christians to be aware, not what their pastors are saying, but what God's word says. What does God's word say? And if your pastor isn't preaching the word of God, you need to confront that and maybe move on. But we need to have churches that are strong with the foundation of God's word.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's a direct thread between the teaching of DEI and cultural Marxism and critical theory.
Yes.
A direct thread from that to the Breonna Taylor riots in Louisville, to the BLM protest around the country, this woke madness, this mania that we've been in for the past 10 years. That's that's the outgrowth of that ideology and that thinking, that approach to viewing the world. And it's really polluted the minds of at least one generation, and we're starting to detox from that a bit. There's kind of the wokeness. We kind of hit peak woke a few years ago, but we're still living with the consequences. And like Lindsay said, it has really embedded its tentacles into the institutions like education, and it takes some real effort to root it out, because the folks that are in there pushing this stuff are true believers. They really think they're doing something noble and right with this social justice garbage, but it's just really nothing but tribalism and racism when it comes down to it.
And Tom, may I have her pivot on something here, because I know she has to go shortly. And Lindsay, I saw that. And all of these candidates, they have the opportunity to come on this show, and I hope Tom doesn't mind me doing this, but I saw that you endorsed Daniel Cameron.
I did.
And of course, I love him dearly. So would you tell us the why, the moral reason why behind a Daniel?
Absolutely. Daniel has been consistent. That's the easiest way I can explain it. When that murder happened of Irina Zarutska in Charlotte, North Carolina,
right.
I realized what DEI is doing to our culture and to our society. And right then I called Daniel. I'm like, I've got your back on this, because you have been consistently advocating and fighting against this, because you understand the implications of what this is doing to our society. So Daniel, he fought against this stuff when he was the Attorney General. He came out and he was executive director of the 1792 Exchange. So he was fighting it in his career outside of public office. And he's just been consistent. And I will even go back to the COVID years. When I first met him, I attended a meeting at our, I can't remember who was having it, but he was the guest speaker. And I was just fired up about what was happening with COVID. And I'm a, nobody mom,
you were amazing
public member. And
Thank
I stand
you.
up and I say, what are you going to do for my sister who is being threatened to lose her job because she will not take that COVID shot? How can you help us? And he gave a great answer, of course, talked about how he's been fighting against those mandates, and then took the time to speak with me afterwards and really explain all that he's been doing in his position as Attorney General at the time. He has been consistent, he has been reliable, and I know he is a strong man of God. And for that reason, for anybody heading into the, crazy Washington, D.C. politics and political arena.
Yeah.
If you do not have a strong faith, they're going to eat you alive, and you're going to bend and sway with the wind. And I know he has a strong faith, and he's heading into a place where he's going to need it. And I've got his back for that reason. I think he would do a great job as the U.S. Senator to replace Mitch McConnell.
Wow, that's wonderful. Well, great. Well, Lindsay, thanks. We know you have to run to some other meetings. Thanks for being on the show today. And
your Senate bill again is the Senate bill we need to call
Senate
out?
Bill 26.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah.
All right. Thank you guys so much.
Thanks, Lindsay. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and Debbie, I want to play that clip of that state legislator who was talking about DEI. And there was this blew up a couple of weeks ago. We played it on the show, but Mr. Producer, I'm gonna roll this real quick. And do we have audio? Let's see. We do not have audio. Let me back this up again. So let's see.
I know this is
I'm going to be honest. I don't feel good about being white every day for a lot of reasons, because it's a point of privilege that I get to move through the world in a way that so many of my other colleagues and friends and family members of the community don't get the privilege to do. And I'm just a female, but just a woman, just a white woman. If I was a white man, I would be functioning from a point of an even greater privilege. I think we're missing an opportunity when kids have a moment to reflect about how the color of their skin does and does not allow them to move through the world. Running to them and trying to stifle that and trying to say you shouldn't feel bad, so we don't want to ever expose you to something that is going to make you have to pause and have maybe some internal feelings. It's a missed opportunity for some really.
Yeah, it's a missed opportunity, and I tell you what, it's a missed opportunity for. It's a missed opportunity for basically putting blood guilt on people. Like you're inherent, like the DEI is basically saying that you have an original sin. The original sin is you being white, right? And you can never get rid of that sin. So you have to carry it around as a mark of shame, and that's basically all it's doing. And it's basically just taking a class of people and training them to feel bad about who they are, and it is racist in its very nature, and so,
it's destructive.
Yes.
For I didn't have a choice as to what color I was going to be born. And because I'm among Christian friends here, we all know Psalm 139, we were fearfully and wonderfully made. Right. And I'm sorry that young woman feels like she's just a woman, just a white girl. She had really, you're not just, she doesn't understand how precious she is to God. And I'll say furthermore, when Samuel was choosing the king of Israel, when they wanted a king, he reminded Jesse, he said, man looks at the outside, God looks at the heart. So when you're ugly, I tell people all the time, I don't care what color you are. If you have an ugly heart, it doesn't matter your color. You're ugly. So that is the most destructive, harmful thing. And our son is 20. I have a blonde, bluish, green-eyed son. And oh my goodness, I take great offense at this type of teaching. And shame on that young woman, but yet I have complete compassion for her and feel sorry for her. But yet I want her to know the truth, and I'd love to share it with her.
Yeah, that's Representative Sarah Stalker. She's actually a state legislator out in the Highlands area, which not surprising. Highlands a little bit left to center, generally speaking. So, Anyway, listen, we'll be right back. We've got a lot more to cover today. There's here on Kentucky's Voice.
Kentucky's Voice is your home for real news, real people, and real answers. But we can't do it without you. Your financial support helps us bring truth to the forefront, hold leaders accountable, and give a voice to the people of the Commonwealth. Join the fight today. Give online at kyvoice.org or text KYVoice to 53555. Every gift makes a difference. Stand with us. Speak up. Stay strong. You are Kentucky's voice.
Now, back to Kentucky's Voice Radio, online at kyvoice.org.
All right, welcome back to Kentucky's Voice. I want to thank Senator Lindsey Tichenor again. And listen, she's up for re-election, so if you're in that district, if you're in Oldham County, Trumbull County, vote for Lindsey. She is awesome. She's just rock solid on all fronts, and doing some good work up there right now in Frankfort with those bills. And support her bills. That's SB 26. That's the DEI bill, and she has some other stuff as well. So, listen, if you're listening or watching this program, if you're not engaged and you're not calling the legislature right now to kind of put your thumb on the scale to help help these things, shame on you. You should be doing this because it really does count. Listen, just voting isn't enough. It just okay. I voted a Republican. I've got a Republican legislature. They're going to take care of everything for you. Listen, they're not, and I tell you why. Because sometimes when they have power like they have, they don't want to take any risk. They don't want to rock the boat too much because. And so if they have a controversial, edgy, sort of real conservative-oriented bill, a lot of the people that are middle of the road, they're just in there for power and prestige. They don't want to take a risk on that. They don't want to vote for that because it might, they might get attacked. People may not like them. They show up to the restaurant in their small town. Somebody might yell at them. Whatever. So you have to push them along. And so the conservatives, the Republicans in this state have to be pushed by the people on the right to do the right thing because
exactly
because we have a
supermajority.
Actually a supermajority kind of works against us in a lot of ways because they get complacent and they're just more worried about maintaining that power and not taking any risk and doing anything edgy. And so we've got to push them. We got to push them along. So. So anyway, any thoughts on that, Debbie? And I'm going to go to Rand Paul.
Of course, because again, I say politics is local, like they always say. On the local level, you vote the man or the woman, so that when they get to the state, they're going to vote the issues, the correct ones. They're going to have that tenacity and that courage to stand. So that's why on the local level, you really and truly on these metro council elections that are coming up that are going to be nonpartisan, you've got to know the name and what their party affiliation is for Jefferson County before you vote for them. And Lindsay, it's clear as day how she stands. But you've got to vote people in these positions, especially starting local, because they have a tendency to want to move up to the next office if they're young enough and vivacious enough. But they've got to stand firm. And your phone calls, it's we the people. We the people. And you make the phone calls, you send the emails, take that little extra bit of time. It's worth it. We do it for so many other things. But politics, a lot of people say, I don't want to be bothered with politics. Well, guess what? Politics is bothered with you.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
It affects us profoundly.
That's exactly right.
You all are amazing out there. I know people are feeling passionate when they listen. So we're just echoing along with you. Just let's all join together and do our part.
Let's unpack that a little bit. You talked about the Metro Council races and also the mayor's race here in Jefferson County. The laws have been changed to where these are now nonpartisan races, right? So
exactly.
if you haven't been kept up with that, but that's a real interesting development. So what that means that you're not going to have a Democrat or Republican mayor candidate. You're just going to have some mayoral candidates, and somebody's going to win.
Well, they do have a party affiliation, but you're not going to know it on the ballot.
You're not going to know it on the ballot. Okay,
so
there we go. Okay.
You've got to know your person. And here's the other critical issue: is that if you're one of those people who likes to go in the booth and vote straight party, but you fail to vote for the nonpartisan races, you're not. Our Republicans are in jeopardy.
Yeah.
So the Metro Council race. If you have someone up this year, which we have, I think we have. Let me see how many. I've got this list in front of me. We've got at least 7 or 9 races, I believe, that they're up.
Yeah, right.
They're up this year, and they need your. If you're in one of those districts, they've got to have your vote, but you've got to know your person. And if you've got more than one Republican, study about them, go to their Facebook pages, go to their Instagrams, go to their bios, find out who they are, go hear them speak, and before you vote. But know who they are, because if you don't vote for the nonpartisan, it doesn't count. Same with judges. And I hope, Tama, we can get another lady on that I know who's helping us to discern about judge candidates on where they're coming from, because that's another nonpartisan issue, a nonpartisan race. So it's so important that you know who your Metro Council person is, but mainly just know who these people are that are especially on the local level.
Yeah.
If you're running for dog catcher, get the best dog catcher we can get, so that when he runs for the state dog catcher, he's going to stay and he's not going to fall, and he's not going to, when he goes to that restaurant and they shun him, he's going to go, sorry, I'm voting my convictions.
So there probably will be some voter guides out there, or some guidance on who our Metro Council candidates are. When I say our, I'm talking about those that are more conservative and would traditionally be a Republican. But you'll be able to see who those folks are. So do your research. But I tell you what, we are at a unique moment where we could actually sweep the Metro Council to the right. We're very close now. There's this very close margin of control that the Democrats have, or those on the left now. I guess the Democrats in a sense. But but we could actually have a conservative Metro Council. So imagine that. So imagine even if we have a Democrat mayor like we do with Greenberg. Greenberg's been kind of a moderate here lately, and so I've kind
he's
of
a businessman.
He's a common sense guy. He's pragmatic.
For the most part.
That's right.
For the most part.
Yeah, for the most part. He's pretty pragmatic. I mean, he has some left-wing ideas, and he's just part of the the crowd he runs with. But at the end of the day, he's pragmatic, and he's done some smart things, especially when it comes to the ICE. He's made sure that we're not a sanctuary city and that sort of thing, and so he's cooperating with the administration on that. So anyway, so imagine we have a conservative Metro Council with a mayor like that. What could we do for this city? Well, imagine how we could turn things around. Imagine the morale boost for the police force, if anything else, and because crime's crazy. Anyway, we've got about 6 minutes left. I wanted to play this clip from Rand Paul. And because Rand Paul and Thomas Massie, let me say this before I play this clip. Both of these guys are known for their sort of the libertarian stances and on all things. But when it comes to the immigration issue, which I think, Debbie, is the most important issue this country has to wrestle with right now, it's really existential for and both sides, both the left and the right, see that issue as an existential issue in a sense that if they don't win on this immigration debate, they feel like all is lost, and so really there's both sides are really
I
ready
agree.
to take this to the mat, and so when you see people like Massey and Paul get a little bit wobbly on this or have a soft approach to immigration, it's very disappointing. And I want to play this clip. He was on Joe Rogan and talking about his.
You're going to shock you. I'm a moderate on this. I actually think that most of the people that are here and working lawfully and can pass a background check, I would give them no welfare, and I'd give them no citizenship, no voting privileges, but you can work and we won't arrest you.
Okay. No citizenship, but a potential path to citizenship?
I think it's better just to say the trade-off is this, that you came illegally. Right now the law says you got to go back and you'll never get in, basically. So the compromise is you came in illegally, you just don't get to be a citizen, your kids will be. Now the new ones, the 8 million that might have come in last year, some of them need to go back, and particularly any of them committing crimes. The compromise I'm offering is different than anybody's ever talked about. Everybody thinks the compromise has to include voting and citizenship. If in Texas we gave amnesty and let, a couple million people vote, immediately Texas becomes Democrat for the next 20 years. So that's what it's all about. It's about voting. I think some of the best Americans just got here, frankly. They have good work ethic. They're hardworking people. They work in our fields. They pick our tomatoes. They clean fish. They work in chicken houses. They do a lot of the dirty jobs in our country are done by immigrants. So
they also came here with ambition because they want a better life at great peril, at great risk.
And some of them are here illegally. I would have a work program. I'd let them sign up for a work program, pass.
I'm just going to stop it there. Like his idea is so novel. My idea is so different. No one else ever thought of it. It's called amnesty. We're just going to give amnesty. Well, you can't vote, you can't do this, but at least you get to stay here and take jobs from Americans. And
cause our housing costs to go out off
exactly
off
inflation. Yeah, welfare. He didn't say anything about welfare. I mean, this
right. Overrun our medical. It's wrong on so many fronts.
So tone deaf.
I don't know what's driving this person. I don't know what's driving him. Something obviously is driving him to feel this way all of a sudden.
Something about Rand Paul. He wants to be this contrarian, and even with his own party, like right now, he's pushing back on this shooting in Minneapolis, and he's wanting to have hearings and bring in the ICE and Homeland Security and have all these hearings about that shooting with the Preddy situation and even the Good situation. And so, why is a Republican pushing that and highlighting all the bad side of immigration enforcement right now? What is this is the most important issue we have to deal with, and if we don't deal with it right, I'm afraid the country's going to fall apart, because I think both sides are really at a point where they're going to throw down on this, because if the Democrats win and they get to allow these 20, 30, 50 million people that are here illegally to stay and become citizens, then guess what? The Republicans will never have a chance to win national elections again. And Democrats know that. They know that the Republicans are now vice versa. If we deport all these illegals, the Democrats know that they're shot, and they will not have control over the country for the next generation or so. So it is.
Well, you know what? It's about ideas, guys. You know what? I hate to tell you, Democrats and Republicans, it's about courage.
Yeah.
And it's about following the law. It's about common sense. It's about consequences for not doing what you know to do. And I've had enough of it. And we apparently, even when he ran for office several years ago, I've been at many events where he is. You know me, Tom, in my other part of my life, I'm a professional singer. I've had the privilege of singing at many events, hearing him speak. But he is a libertarian. He's someone who's in the middle. He's a no person. When you become an obstructionist, you are no longer good to either side.
Right.
It's very deceptive. It's very sad. But we've got to follow the law. And I encourage our United States senators, both Rand Paul, listen, sir, and Senator McConnell or whomever takes his place, all of them, vote for the SAVE Act.
Yeah.
Do not compromise on our ICE agents. Those people, I had a friend.
We have a minute
who is,
left. What is the SAVE Act? We got a minute
yeah.
left.
The SAVE Act is having only you have to prove that you're a citizen before you vote. It's voter ID and being able to prove citizenship. It's already passed the House, and they were trying to get it through the Senate. And it's Chip Roy of Texas put the bill out. It's amazing. I wish we had time to cover it. Maybe we can on another show. But we all need to get behind it.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Good stuff.
Immediately.
Well,
The SAVE Act to save. It's basically save our country, save our elections, and it'll stop illegal immigrants from voting.
And we might even have to get rid of the filibuster to pass it. I think it's that important to do so. And so,
yes.
And last thing about Rand Paul said that best Americans just showed up here. I'm sorry, if you're here illegally and you stole to get in the country, you're not going to be a good American, because at the end of the day, you stole just to get here. You broke the law to get here. So how can you be a good American after that? I'm sorry, Rand Paul he's way off base. He's out of tune on this, and he needs to be corrected or get out. And so he could be the next Mitch McConnell. We get him out. And so we'll talk to you tomorrow on Kentucky's Voice.